This might feel like a strange transition, but here we go. There's a show on Apple TV that I have mentioned before and will probably mention again because it is just so good. It's called Ted Lasso. It got me through much of the pandemic, and it feels like I might need it again in these next 4 years. Ted is an American football coach, and he has accepted a job in England coaching soccer. He knows little about the culture that he's been dropped into and even less about soccer. And in an early scene, his team is not doing well. To encourage them, he pulls out his best pep talk and says, "It's important to have hope." When these words come out of his mouth, the players react, they recoil, they groan. He's confused and he says, "What did I say?" And they reply with a phrase that becomes a running joke. "It's the hope that kills you." Anyone else feeling that? Turns out that my optimism was misplaced when I assumed that a majority of voters in this country would not vote for a man who had unapologetically aligned himself with patriarchy, misogyny, white supremacy, xenophobia, transphobia, and homophobia. And judging from the many conversations I've had with members of this congregation since Tuesday, I am not alone. But here we are. Many of us are sad and scared and angry, and all of those feelings are real and valid and important. If you're one of the scared, sad, or angry people here today, you're welcome to add your feelings on the back wall of the sanctuary. I hope that you're taking time to take care of yourself and finding ways to keep your balance. If you would like some resources, there are purple sheets of paper on the welcome table out front. And if we run out, we can make more copies. We'll each have different ways of processing this, but it's important to allow that processing to happen. As teacher Richard Rohr writes, "Pain that is not transformed is transmitted." If you've noticed that you are more short-tempered than usual, that's to be expected, but I hope you'll allow yourself to feel those feelings so they don't come out sideways at the people in your life. Some of us already know we need to sit in the sorrow and the anger and fear for a while longer. Others have processed quickly and are ready to rise up and shake a fist, and either way is okay. We knew before Tuesday that we don't live in a world where everyone shares UU values of justice, equity, pluralism, and interdependence. But it was jarring to see just how differently much of the country thinks about things. This all challenges my universalist heart, and my UU faith tells me that every person, everyone, not just the ones I like or agree with, every person is whole and holy and worthy of love and belonging. Yes, even that person. And that one. So I'm asking myself, how do I keep from hardening my heart toward people who believe different things than I do? It's an important question, and I don't have the answer right now, but I'm trying. I'm wondering how to live in alignment with my values while continuing relationships with people that I disagree with so profoundly. Is it possible to have a deep and authentic relationship when you see the world so differently? And relatedly, how do you know when it's time to sever a relationship because that person's views and actions put you and/or people you love in danger? I don't know your answers to these questions, but I'm willing to sit with you and listen as you explore them. My own surprise and bewilderment at the outcome has caused me to do some soul searching. I observed that many Black and Indigenous folks I follow were not surprised, including the person who wrote today's call to worship. I think my surprise comes partly from my generally positive outlook, but even more from my being relatively sheltered from the injustices of this world. I experience oppression as a woman, but in nearly all other identity categories, race, economic class, education, sexual orientation, etc., I fall on the privileged side of the spectrum. This privilege has insulated me from the real injustices that have always existed for folks who live on the margins. And people who have been in the struggle for justice longer than I have were also not surprised. Disappointed, yes, but not surprised. So the first thing that I hope you take from today is that it's important for all of us to feel our feelings. There will be plenty of work for us to do, but when love and justice call us, we need to be emotionally healthy and rested and ready. The second very important thing that I want to be sure you hear from me today is this: solidarity is how we will survive. In the reading that Jim did so beautifully, the poet is imagining all the possible ways a person could survive after an apocalyptic event. I want to pull out this section because I think it's important to hear it again. In every universe in which I am alive, it is because of other people. And I don't always like them, but I love them. In every universe in which I am alive, it is less because I could fight and more because I could forgive, because I could cooperate, because I could apologize, because I could dance, because I could grow pumpkins in my backyard and leave them at my neighbor's door asking for nothing in return. The last stanza of the poem tells us, survival is not a fortress, it is a garden. Survival is not a siren, it is a symphony. Gardens and symphonies are made up of many. A single plant cannot be a garden. A single instrumentalist cannot make a symphony. Survival requires other people to bring their diversity, their strengths, their calling. The only way we will survive is in solidarity. We, UUs, must not sell out our vision of liberation and inclusion, especially for immigrants, refugees, LGBTQ folks, disabled people, people of color. Because however you choose to say it, in this interdependent world, we are all connected. Your liberation is bound up with my liberation. We are woven from a single garment of destiny. A rising tide lifts all boats. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The only way we survive is together. And so I invite you to join me in recommitting your heart to this solidarity. I have a litany for us. I will name positions of privilege in our society and then name those who are less privileged, those who, as UUs, we are called to be in solidarity with. I ask that if you are part of the privileged identity group, you respond to each call with the phrase, we pledge our support. You want to practice? We pledge our support. From those of us who are white, we honor people of color, Black, Latinx, Asian, and Indigenous, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. From those of us who are heterosexual or cisgender, we honor the LGBTQIA community and commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. From those of us who have not been imprisoned, we honor those who have been incarcerated and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. For those of us who are insulated from the effects of climate change, we honor those on the front lines and commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. From those of us who are men, we honor women, trans women, and genderqueer people, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. From those of us from middle and upper class households, we honor those who struggle with poverty, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. We pledge our support. For those of us who are neurotypical or presently able-bodied, we honor those who are disabled, or neurospicy, and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. For those of us who have American citizenship, we honor those who are immigrants and we commit ourselves to solidarity. For those of us who have not been sexually assaulted, we honor those who are survivors and we commit ourselves to acts of solidarity. From all those who suffer from prejudice, poverty, violence, disaster, illness, and environmental degradation who we have not named or perhaps do not know yet, we keep our hearts and minds open to solidarity in new ways to new people. We pledge our support. Thank you. And the third point that I hope you take from today is this. It's from scholar of tyranny and fascism, Timothy Snyder, who says that the first rule of fighting fascism is do not comply in advance. I want this to be our watchword. We will not comply in advance. We will continue to celebrate, to worship, to organize, to witness. Our signs will stay up. Our voices will keep speaking and singing. We will have our parties and events. We will keep feeling joy and being alive. To bury our joy and trim our sails is a way of complying in advance, and we will not do that. We will double down on being full of pride and hope and love, and we will not, you know it. We will set our precious hearts and our thoughts on freedom and liberation. We will cultivate love and compassion. We will live our lives with beauty as witness against hatred and despair. And we will not comply in advance. We won't turn in our neighbors. We won't give up on justice or tell people to go back in the closet. We will not comply in advance. And we will not make our lives only about opposition. Instead, we will always center love. Our hearts are bruised, our spirits are tired, our minds are anxious, but we are not beaten. We have each other, and we know a love that is stronger than anything this world can throw at it. Love is powerful. Remember the words you heard earlier from the poem. All day I replay these words. Is this the path of love? Not is this right? Not is this wrong? Just how does this action link us to the path of love? There are a lot of reasons why we need to be in solidarity, and we don't have to solve them all right this minute. It will become clearer. We don't have to know the whole plan. This path to love unfolds one choice at a time, one move at a time, one step at a time. Takeaways: rest, feel your feelings, act in solidarity, do not comply in advance. That's what's next. I love you, and we will do this together. Amen.